Scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Beverly Grove. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. This man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight. It all started at this mobile gas station at 5:30 Friday evening.
On Friday, August 19th, Quando Rondo's friend Lil Pab were in Los Angeles, making things happen. Now, as we all know, LA is a place where many people come to visit, go on vacation, make music, and do just about everything. Now, this was a regular day for Quando Rondo, which did turn ugly because he was actually targeted in a drive-by shooting at a gas station across from the Beverly Center in Los Angeles. Now, the story goes Quando Rondo's crew were filling up for gas when a white SUV pulled up and 3 people hopped out and started dumping shots into the vehicle, which allegedly hit Quando Rondo, but the vehicle I showed earlier in the video shows that he was fine. However, they did kill Lil Pab, his best friend. Now, from the gang standpoint, I understand Quando is a part of the Rolling 60s clique, which, has areas in Atlanta and Savannah as well as areas in Los Angeles, as Nipsey Hussle was a part of that group. But I'm not going to make speculations about what happened because we don't know yet. Now, whether you're a street dude or not, you can only feel sympathy for Quando Rondo. While watching the video, he witnessed an attempt on his own life, which was unsuccessful. However, the attempt claimed his best friend's life, and I mean, you can only hear him crying out in pain and agony in the video when the officers are pulling his friend out of the vehicle. Now, like many people, after we do something wrong or witness something, we always think to ourselves, what could have been done better? Now, in this situation, there's no simple answer. You can maybe say, ride around in a bulletproof vehicle, have security, wear a vest. However, it's sort of weird to even think of yourself in that situation because you're basically admitting to yourself that anywhere you go, your life will always be in danger. And by wearing this attire, that's basically what you're admitting to. And taking the risk anytime you go out of town will always be a risk because people want your life. Everybody who knows LA for what it really is knows it ain't sweet. And it's actually the farthest thing from sweet. They do robberies in broad daylight on people. They steal from jewelry stores. It's not a walk in the park by any means at all. Now, I know on television, growing up on Disney, it's glamorized to show people living expensive, happy lifestyles. Well, they often leave with the part of people who are living unhappy lifestyles, living in poverty and pain, or they have to rob, steal, kill, just in order to survive. Now, I'm not encouraging or condoning any of this behavior. However, I do have to highlight the high points in the reality of this situation. Now, in November 2020, one of Chicago's most famous street rappers, King Von, was shot and killed in Atlanta. Now, this shocked the world and made many artists have to pick a side between Lil Durk and Von or NBA Youngboy and Quando Rondo. Now, sure, for a lot of people, the decision was very easy because Lil Durk and King Von had more of a stature, I guess you can say, in the industry from the commercial part where Lil Durk was more appreciated, easier to work with. Now, when it comes to NBA Youngboy, we all know NBA Youngboy does stuff by himself. He doesn't need the industry. The industry doesn't support him, and he still manages to succeed. And him and Quando have been doing their thing. So it was a no-brainer for a lot of artists to pick who they want to mess with because they can't be playing both sides after blood was shed. Sure, before when it was just online trolling stuff, it's easy to mess with one artist, maybe do something with the other. But after someone died, someone cried, a body was buried, you can't be messing with both sides. We saw 21 Savage talk about this in a DJ Academics interview on Off the Record, saying that you know why Lil Durk people can't mess with Youngboy people, you know why people can't support Youngboy and Lil Durk, why they don't post their parties when it's time every Friday when they release albums and like that. And it's just a whole lot of no friends in the industry when it comes to all the grimy behavior that artists have to deal with, because if you mess with somebody, you can't mess with someone else. I mean, I want to say it's ego, but in a large sense of things, blood was shed, mamas cried, people died. I'm not even trying to be funny, make any of this stuff rhyme, but it's just the reality of it. People died, so you can't go back to being friends when someone lost their life, which I fully understand. Now, many people have clowned Lil Durk for King Von's death, overloading his comment section saying slide for Von, and due to the recent acts in LA that happened with Quando Rondo's friend, I can only imagine what they have to say now. The reality of the situation is we don't know who did what. I'm gonna say it again, we don't know who did what. The way our social media and surveillance have been used to crack down on crime is unbelievable, man. I honestly believe, even though those people were masked up on the other crime, I believe this case will be solved in probably the next couple of months, man. We know the internet detectives, hip-hop police have been on full alert over the last couple of years, especially with social media, man. When we talk about the King Von murder and how everyone knows it's lit him, it's not me talking bad or snitching, everybody knows just people are matching the fits that he wore, what's the CCTV camera footage when it happened. People are basically matching everything to show that, hey, he was wearing this is the street corner they're on, he's wearing the same shoes as the person in the video. Even though we can't see his face, we can see the back of his neck, this has to be him. It's just crazy the way our social media and everything will be breaking down. Even when I was on XXL magazine, the website, talking about all the murders that were unsolved in the 90s, and I'm reading it and I'm like, yo, this would not fly today. The way we have cameras everywhere, you have cameras on your phone. First of all, we have phones. They didn't even have phones back then. They had to use the pay phones on the street corners and like that. So technology has changed so much that actually can prevent people from doing crime, getting away with it, and it's just crazy to see, man, honestly. Now, there's a different type of essence of surprise when you get into a shootout or altercation out of town, or even worse, out of state. Because let's say this was in Georgia, right? Quando may have knew where the nearest hospital was in Georgia, even to the hood doctor, because, you know, growing up in poverty, like these guys, you know, we always show hood movies how they have the hood doctors because they're not trying to go to doctors and pay all these fees. So he could have went to the nearest person in his neighborhood or something like that to help heal his friend. But since they weren't in their area and they don't know LA like that, all this adrenaline's rushing into his body. He's trying to avoid being killed, which he did. However, they claimed his friend's life, so he's just in paranoia, like he's trying to stay alive. He's trying to drive to keep his friend alive. And there's a lot of stuff going on that just really can't be explained. It's like he's trying to process that his best friend was killed right beside him, even though recently in Atlanta, actually, there's something that happened where he lost another friend like a day or two before. So it was just so much death and paranoia going around him where it's like he's just trying to stay alive and keep his friends who are close to him and well. Like, we already know he's the most hated individual in the rap game. We know the reason why, of course, is Lil Durk and Quando what happened in Atlanta, so we're gonna leave that as that. But like I said, man, this guy Quando is the most hated individual, and it's like he has to move and ride militant, and it seems like in that situation he wasn't, because if you're someone like him of stature, you need to be riding around in a bulletproof vehicle, bulletproof vest, like I said before, because you literally cannot afford to lack or they will take your life, man. I'm not gonna out him no street dude, because I'm not. Like, I'm simply just someone who enjoys like the music and the culture, but I do want to say my spin and my perspective on it, because that's just like what I like to do, man. And I feel like someone like him who's, you know, most hated for something that, you know, is very controversial, you need to move correct. But it's like it happened in broad day, and you're not thinking people gonna be following you from the time you get there. And this is why they always talk about people need to check in, because if you don't check in and get checked out. And I don't mean funny by that, I just mean like you just gotta make sure you check on people in that area so they can make sure you're good. Now, I'm sure in the upcoming song by any rapper from Chicago, there's gonna be them disses about Quando Rondo, because that is how the culture works and that's how it operates. Unfortunately, it's another repeated cycle of gangbanging and death, discussing and dissing the dead, for a never-ending cycle. It's like, let's get back to the point where all we cared about was when the artist was dropping music, who they're collabing with, how many albums gonna sell. Like, let's get back to the point of music where that's what we cared about, the music. It seems like now we just care about the controversies, the death. It's always another dead famous rapper every other week in the news, and it's just like, I forget who said it, I'm pretty sure it was Jim Jones, talking about being the rapper is like one of the most deadliest careers. It's something that I actually argue with my cousin about all the time, because he's like, no, it's not. But it's like, when you see how these people have a bounty over their head because living that type of lifestyle, and people envy them for their success, it's like, yo, like, these people are most wanted, most hated for real. Like, I don't really know what to say about it, but that's just really how it is, man. I'm more Quando Rondo and YB, obviously the most hated artists, obviously because of the 4K Train OTF beef. But a broad day shooting in Los Angeles where people are, you know, going shopping, filling up gas, that is just ruthless, man. These LA guys are showing absolutely no mercy, man. Now, the amount of artists that could have been making millions together, but the street beef and politics got in the way, is actually sickening. Now, a prime example of this is Quando, Rondo, and Lil Baby. Back in 2018, when they released their song I Remember, which is actually a Lil Baby feature, which is one of the hardest Quando Rondo songs I've ever heard in my life, man. And it's sick to say, because we all know Quando Rondo and Lil Baby will never ever be on a song again, due to Lil Baby being clicked up with Lil Durk, and Quando Rondo basically being YB's best friend, his homie, signed to his label, never broke again. So we all know that is never going to happen. Even bigger thing actually is Lil Durk and NBA YoungBoy. I know a lot of y'all fans probably don't even notice, because y'all just tapped in for the beef and the politics. You don't really care about the music. Lil Durk and NBA YoungBoy actually had a song back in 2018, 2017 called My Side, which is actually one of the hardest songs I've ever heard, man. I'm not gonna lie, YoungBoy is my favorite artist, but Lil Durk's verse in that song actually just slayed him on that verse, man. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, man, it's safe to say we will never see these artists work together, because the street politics and pride obviously get in the way. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk down on it, because I do understand once blood is shed, there's a different movement and different activity when it comes to it. But I understand the premise of gang politics, and I understand being a rapper and a gangster will never mix.